Hi, everyone. This is Helena Hart, and today I am so excited to be talking with my friend and fellow coach, Jack Butler, today. Jack is a life and relationship coach who helps people become more of who they are so they can be loved for their true, authentic selves in relationships. And Jack is a total favorite on my channel. I love having him on. His insights are so valuable, and I know you're going to love everything he has to share. So welcome, Jack. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, it's good to be here. It's good to be back. Thanks for having me again. And that was quite the introduction. I appreciate it.
Yes, we always have so much fun. I love getting your insights on these really important topics. And today we're going to be talking about something that's really near and dear to my heart, something I have certainly experienced myself in my past. And I know a lot of the women who come to me and watch my videos here on YouTube have this similar thing going on. They have a pattern of attracting and being attracted to unavailable men. You know, it could be men who are emotionally unavailable or actually unavailable in some way, you know, geographically or stuck on their ex or in another relationship, right? So in this video, we're going to talk about how to turn this pattern around and stop attracting those kind of men, you know, or what to do if you already have. I know a lot of women who watch my videos, you know, are stuck on a man who is just really not quite doing the job, not stepping up and making her a priority. And we want to give you the tools to stop taking those crumbs so you can really get everything you want in your life and relationships. So Jack, what's the first thing you have to say on this topic?
Well, I want to say just a quick caveat. I want to invite people to buckle up a little bit because I might be dishing out some sort of gentle but tough love in what I'm saying here. Because really one of the first major things that you can do is to kind of stop the fantasy or the delusion that somehow an unavailable guy is going to become available, or that a breadcrumb guy is going to become a full loaf guy. Just actually really getting with the program. If a guy is breadcrumbing you, he's what? He's not your guy. That's right. He's not your guy. And so sometimes just the brutal simplicity of that just stops all this mental intellectualization, fascination, because a lot of this is predicated upon hope that it might be different one day. Like maybe he'll change, or maybe he's just too stressed at work, or maybe he's not healed from his ex-girlfriend. And whilst any or all of those things could be true, the reality is that breadcrumb guy doesn't become your guy, right? Or unavailable guy doesn't become your guy. And when you just acknowledge that fully and clearly and simply to yourself, you're already, 50+% of the way to getting a different result.
I think that's so important. I think you should make that, you know, on a t-shirt or like a coffee cup or something. You're like famous for that phrase now, right? There's something you said we did a live stream on my channel about, I believe it was the one on how to trust yourself and build your intuition.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How to know if you can trust a man. And you said something that's always stuck with me, you know, ever since then. It was, you can't make these things what they're not, right?
Yes.
Like, I think you said in your experience, and I've certainly experienced this myself and seen it in the women in my community too. The guy who just, there's this half-hearted kind of connection, and you're taking crumbs from him, and it's really good when you're together, but then he drops off for a few weeks. Those things, they typically don't become full-on relationships, right?
Definitely. Like I can actually say in all my experience of coaching, which is a lot, I've coached full time for, it's probably my 8th year. I've never seen it. Wow. So it's really, really, really unlikely, to the point where it's like, it's not even worth worrying about that possibility. It's just as a general principle in life, it's good to major in what matters, right? So why do we want to become an expert in unavailable men, breadcrumbers, and ghosters when we could become an expert in available guys that we could actually be in a relationship with? So a lot of this is about redirecting your attention. Now, what makes that hard is there's something really arresting about emotionally unavailable people or men, right? There is something about that. Now, what is it? Partly what it can be is that if you yourself, if we turn it back inwards, if you yourself are overly emotional or overly emotionally available, life will often bring this unavailable or emotionally unavailable guy into your life because it's there to sort of teach you. It's there to balance you. It's like you don't have any relationship with being unavailable. Perhaps you're always responsive, or you're always there for your friends, or you always reply to a text immediately. And you actually haven't learned how to sit and be in your own skin and be available to yourself. So there's this kind of deeper spiritual teaching in this, if you will, that, unavailable guys can teach you, am I really available to myself, or am I just available to other people? Am I really available for my deeper emotional experience? Do I know myself deeply emotional? I might think of myself as emotional, but maybe what that means is I'm actually quite over there with other people and I'm very empathetic and I connect with them and I'm healing them and I'm helping them, but maybe there's someone here that needs more attention. And the more you stay centered in yourself, you might still have a ping of attraction for that guy, but you don't have to turn that into a pseudo relationship. You can just be like, wow, I'm really attracted to that guy and I'm going over here. So you've got much more choice because what you're centered in yourself. So
Wow.
this is, it's deep inner work if you let it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You said something that I want to just highlight, because the way my stance on this has always been, I talk about you kind of attract a mirror image of your own masculine.
Yes. I like how you talk about that.
So,
yeah.
so, if you're attracting someone who's emotionally unavailable, where are maybe you afraid of intimacy or real commitment?
Yes.
That's certainly the case for me. But you said something that I've actually never heard before, is where are you overly available for someone who's not meeting your needs? Can you talk a little bit more about that? I've never heard anyone say that before. I always get very excited when I hear something I've never heard before. So I'd love to go in that direction a little bit, because I know that's like a concept I've never heard.
Mm-hmm. So, being overly emotionally available might be that you're always very quick to respond to other people's needs. It might be at an extreme. It might be like a doormat or a people pleaser kind of orientation, where you basically are super available to other people, or like maybe if, as I say, someone sends you a text, you always have to text them back really quickly. You might not be like, you know what, actually I'm with my family and I don't need to text this person back. I don't need to be everyone's best friend. I don't need to be everyone's confidant, everyone's champion, everyone's supporter, everyone's surrogate healer. Like oftentimes if you're doing that, it's because there's a void in the middle of your own life. And that might be hard to hear, or it might not even make any sense as I say it, but I'm just inviting, just get curious if there's something that you're not able to do for yourself. People who are able to lavish love on other people often can't do that for themselves. Right? So they would get up in the middle of the night to drive someone else to the airport, but they wouldn't do it for themselves, right? They would go to the store to buy all the best healthy things for someone that's sick, but they wouldn't do it for themselves. They would show up and listen for several hours to someone in need, but they wouldn't listen deeply to themselves. So, self-love gets talked a lot about on YouTube and on these channels, but there's a way of just thinking about self-love, which is think about you loving someone else, all the things you would do. Can you do that for yourself? And if you can't, or that muscle's weak, what's going on there? And in the same way, often people who get stuck on emotionally unavailable men, there's a self-love issue. Because if you really loved yourself, you wouldn't be doing that, because it's not good for you. You're doing something that is not good for you. You're abandoning yourself. You're letting yourself down. So that might be hard to hear. I'm not saying that critically. I'm just saying it observationally, so that you might get some more of the medicine which you need, which is that you want to be in the right relationship. Well, if you can say more centered and more loving in yourself, the chances are that the wrong guy and the unavailable guy will be less attractive to you. It will be less of a relationship that you want to stay in. And therefore it frees up more time, energy, attention, heart, and emotion for you to be with the right guy, So it's a little complex sometimes to see that stuff in yourself, but once you do, you might really get it. And you might find that even if you've had this pattern of unavailability, that could stop. It's not like, oh, I just turned it down 5%. You might be like, yeah, done. I've learned that. And now when I notice unavailable guy, I'm like, hey, Mr. Unavailable Guy, it's really nice to meet you. I can even be super attracted. You look super hot. And I'm sure I could get into an unavailable relationship with you, but why would I do that? I'm at choice. I don't need to be a victim of anything. So, a lot of this is actually reclaiming your power in your own center.
Wow. Yeah. I can relate to basically everything you just said. The whole, you get up in the middle of the night and do anything for any of your friends. But when it comes to making that doctor's appointment for yourself, or going and making sure you have food, or, like if my cat Leo runs out of food, I will drop what I'm doing and go to the store. But when it's me, I
get it.
Tend to do. I'm getting so much better, and it feels so good to have that kind of like that masculine energy and gear for yourself, and not putting yourself last on the list. Feels totally incredible. And I love what you said too. I can just tell you how true that is. You can feel that strong pull of attraction towards someone, but once you heal this pattern, you can feel that and then go, and I'm still bored with that, right?
Right.
And I'm still bored with that hot and cold back and forth behavior. I'm not going to accept it. Something I always say is, even if you never stop attracting unavailable men, or the wrong kind of men, you can stop accepting their behavior. You can stop just taking their crumbs, or waiting around like begging for crumbs. I think sometimes what happens when you're still like caught in the throes of that is like, the highs feel so incredible that it kind of keeps you going through the lows. And that's when I hear
that's
women who
probably
say,
right.
well, when we're together, it's great. It feels so good. But then when I don't hear from him for a week, it feels terrible. So it's almost like an addiction, like an addictive kind of
Yes.
high. What do you have to say for women who are in that situation?
Well, sometimes I share with people the, an analogy from kind of, animal behaviorism, right? Where they've done experiments with rats and they feed them and they feed them consistently and then they stop feeding them. They quite quickly drop the behavior. They don't go to the place where they would get fed. But if they feed them erratically and inconsistently, they will keep going back again and again and again. So, some of this is probably similar to how we show up in a relationship, that there's clearly something arresting to our animal selves or nervous systems to, sporadic, erratic behavior. I'm a big fan of awareness is curative. When you really get something, when you really get that this high and low, this hot and cold isn't actually going to stabilize into the thing that I want, I think it makes it a lot easier, because then I'm not in false hope. I'm not in false expectation. I'm not imagining it could be different. I'm not dating the future and thinking that he's going to change. So a lot of my work is about sobriety and objectivity and having people just clearly see what's in front of them. I think the other thing is, okay, so you got some highs, you want to get some highs, go do drugs this weekend, go get high on nitrous oxide tonight, take laughing gas, buy marijuana. That's all available, but that's so much different than that's how you want to base your life, right? So it's like, you don't want to build your life around a couple of highs and most of the time it's a low. I think I'd much rather have, like, most of the time we're doing the thing that we actually want to do. So, yes, highs can feel amazing, but mostly we know what follows them. So it's like it's its own form of almost like manic depression wrapped up in a relationship, and that's not easy for you to then have success in other areas of your life, right? And most people aren't going to be stronger in their careers because they're dealing with an up and down emotional roller coaster in the background, or that they're constantly obsessing about a guy that's hot and cold. If you're obsessing about a guy, imagine feeling actually more secure in a relationship and supported and held. Kind of what other things you can do in your life, or even if it's not about your career. Maybe you want to be a better parent or aunt or sister or whatever it is. You just, more attention is freed up for the things that matter, rather than getting stuck in these loops of obsession that don't really go anywhere.
Totally.
So it's actually just being kind to yourself.
It's that intermittent reinforcement, right? I think that's what like it turns you into like a Terminator. Like, well, the last, sometimes I get a response to the text, right? Like if it's one out of every 5 times, or like you said, if you're over giving, over delivering, sometimes if that's what that person needs, they'll give you that attention back, and it feels incredible, right? But I love what you said. It's not, you can't make these things what they're not. That doesn't turn into a full-on relationship. Do you have any practical tips or tools or anything on how someone can be more available to themselves and less available to that kind of dynamic? And I'd love to hear your tips on that.
Yeah. So one thing, to put it in love language kind of realms. So one of the love languages is quality time, right? How much quality time do you spend with yourself? And by quality time, I mean that you are present, you're dropped in with yourself, you know what your experience is, you know what you're feeling, you're attuned to yourself. So I'm not just saying, oh yeah, I had half an hour last night, but I was on Instagram, right? I mean, actually, like, the level of attention that if I was saying I'm spending quality time with you, you would imagine that I have a certain availability. Can you do that for yourself? Can you actually be slowed down, attuned, sensitive to yourself? Most of us, we quickly get distracted, right? We pick up our phones, we call a friend, we put on the TV, we Netflix and chill, or we're doing 10 things at once. It's like, there's a little bit of a lost art, I think, of spending time with yourself. I would go so far as to say, and I know this is a bit of a Jackism, but you can't really love yourself fully if you're not present with yourself. Mm-hmm. So there's some relationship between getting more present and actually loving yourself. Because if you're not present, if you were never present with your child, could we say that you really love them fully? It's like you're kind of always a bit out to lunch. So part of this is getting much more tuned and present to yourself. I often have clients schedule me time on the calendar. So it's like, there it is, 2-hour block twice a week where I don't even know what I'm going to do other than it's going to be with me. And, maybe I'm going to journal, maybe I'll go for a walk, maybe I'll take a bath, maybe I'll put on candles, maybe I'll listen to music. You can do all sorts of things, but it's actually about spending time with yourself. So that's the first place I would go. It's much easier to be centered in yourself if you actually spend high quality time with yourself. You get to know yourself. Another thing that I've done myself and had clients do is set up a particular area in your house that is all about your relationship with yourself. So that could be, a kind of a sort of snuggle pad, right? Where you've got like blankets and cushions and things that just encourage you to kind of get more tactile and sensual with yourself. It sounds strange, but for a couple of years there, I did a lot of just being a bit fetal with myself and just slowing right down and just being like, hey buddy, what do you need? What's going on? And do you ever talk to yourself like that? And actually just really slow down and notice like, hey, what are you feeling? What's here? So that kind of thing I think can be really helpful. And then it's boundaries, right? I mean, authenticity and boundaries clearly have a relationship, and that can be boundaries on your own self-time. It can just be holding clearer boundaries on things that aren't serving you, whether that's a client, a colleague, a way of being, someone that you just want less close in your life, someone that keeps taking your time that actually it's not serving you. All of those things, as you keep practicing them, it's like you're getting more individuated, more real, more authentic, more centered in yourself. And from that centered place, so many more things flow more easily. It's just more easy to see, oh yeah, when I'm with this person, I kind of get away from myself. Why would I want to keep doing that?
Oh, I love that. I think that's so great. Everything you said, I just want to rewind that and watch that 100 times. Like I can see that even recently for myself, just certain friendships and stuff where they're just kind of naturally drifting apart.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to like, oh, keep it going and find, it's like what maybe I would tend to do in the past, just kind of like letting it be, letting it go, and just and it's felt actually really, really good and freed up a lot of my time. I think it's great. Something that I say, I would just love to run this by you. I have no idea what your opinion on this is. When it comes to this pattern, something part of my process for women is kind of changing what feels familiar. So if they're stuck on an unavailable man, or just in general, they attract men where it just never really turns into anything. It's my opinion, my experience, what I've seen is there's something about that feels familiar to them on a deep level. Maybe that's what love felt like to them. Maybe they had to work hard to win love from their parents or caregivers. And so when a guy comes along and makes her feel like not quite good enough, that's the kind of guy, it's like your subconscious creates this spark of attraction, right?
Yes.
But it doesn't know what's good for you or what's bad, or right? It just knows this feels familiar. You've survived this. It doesn't care that it's not healthy. It just goes, this is a dance you know how to do. And it kind of pulls you. So to unhook from this pattern, this is what I did. And this is what I've helped clients do over the years, changing what feels familiar, obviously working from the inside out, like you talked about, and the outside in, meaning if you're a single and dating from this point forward, only spending time with men who are 100% available and ready for the kind of relationship you want. Right? Not to like fill a void and just like fill up your, but for a man to even qualify to get to spend 1 second with you, or even in your mind, right? 1 second of your mental energy, his energy has to be coming towards you in a consistent way, right? No more hot and cold, back and forth guy.
Right.
And he has to be available for what you want. I found, and certainly worked for me and for the women I've worked with, they start changing the kind of man they're attracted to and attracted.
Yes.
Right? Have you seen
I like that. Yeah, I don't think that gets talked about enough.
Yeah, let me know anything you think about that, because that's just been the way I've worked with women in this situation.
Well, to put that in language that I'm more familiar with, so I talk about unconscious attraction, right? Which is where you're attracted to that same sort of archetype, which in this instance might be the archetype of the unavailable man. And a more conscious form of attraction it's sort of backed up by a little bit more awareness. You can train yourself or invite yourself over time to be more attracted to something that doesn't feel quite so familiar. Like almost like learning how to enjoy wine. Sometimes fine wine, your palate doesn't like it, but over time you kind of habituate to it. So you might need to give yourself permission to do that. And what's hard about it is sometimes unconscious attraction has this very kind of quick and strong, familiar, animalistic appeal to it, right? Like, boom, you like, wow, hot guy, I'm so into him. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. And if that is not the thing that has anything to do with compatibility or your ability to build a long-term relationship, you might want to learn to attune to different signals. So sometimes people talk about aliveness, like how do you actually feel in this person's presence over a period of consistent time might be a better indication than how you first felt that moment you saw them across the bar and you felt that very kind of familiar ping. So yeah, absolutely giving yourself permission to learn something different. Often what I find is that the person that people end up being with isn't like their shopping list, isn't like their, my type, whether your type is, tall, dark, and handsome, or blonde hair and blue eyes, or it's like nerdy guy or cerebral guy, or, jock guy or sporty guy, whatever it is. It's like, actually it has this different thing going on, because what your soul wants to learn in this lifetime is different than what your animal body is attracted to normally. So you might have to learn how to tune into a slightly different frequency, and also a frequency that kind of maybe builds a bit over time, rather than just was super hot and then kind of like drop off guy. You don't want to be attracted on long term to drop off guy. You want to be attracted to something that's actually healthy for you, right? In the same way that some of the most attractive foods are really crappy for you, right? Donuts and sweets and biscuits. Like, yeah, you might like the feeling of that, but we all kind of know that it doesn't feel good afterwards, right? Whereas actually learning how to enjoy your, shot of wheatgrass or ginger or smoothies or whatever it is, it's like you can actually learn to really enjoy food that's healthy for you. And I think it's the same thing. You can learn to really enjoy relationship material that's healthy for you. It just might not taste the same way that donuts taste. And it's like learning like, oh yeah, that donut taste, I kind of like it for a moment, but it's really not worth it. That's the same thing.
So great. Oh my gosh. The whole, I'm not going to say this as great as you did, but what your soul is here to learn in this lifetime is different often than what your animal body wants. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Totally.
Oh my gosh. I just want to do a whole training or a series of videos on that. That is everything, right? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Because I think in some ways your animal body, if you think about it just from a biological perspective, it's like, it's here to reproduce, right? And so a lot of that is like, evolutionary genetic stuff. It's like, yeah, cool. That might work for the reproduction of the species, but that's not really the stage of development that you and I are in now. We're not just about, how can we have as many babies as we want, right? We're actually about, I want a relationship based upon growth, mutual seeing and understanding, about being creative and together in the world, maybe doing work together or building something. It's like a very different script than most of our human evolutionary history. And so that's why I think it's a bit confusing. I don't think people, 5,000 years ago on the savannah plains or wherever we were living at the time, were really worried about soul path. I think they were probably worried about survival. You and I, and a lot of people listening, it's, fine. We may struggle for money, or we may struggle for shelter or food at times, but most of our survival needs aren't really where it's at. There's like other things, higher up Maslow's hierarchy that we want from our relationships. If it was just about survival, you could probably partner all sorts of people, but you don't want to just survive. You want to thrive. You want to be expressed. You want to be authentic, real, connected, grow, soul path, co-evolutionary partners. This is a very different order of reality than our biological heritage. So I think that's often what's confusing about being a human, is those biological drives and imperatives are still there, but we have some really lofty goals that we want to achieve in a relationship. How do you hold that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. A question I get all the time is like, well, how can I even trust my intuition if I have this pattern going on? How do I even trust myself if what I have personally found, I don't know if this is just the way it is, but just speaking personally, like, yes, you can start to trust yourself, right? Like, yeah. How it happened for me is like, you can see like with the first time looking in someone's eyes, you can feel something like, oh wow, like I just felt something there. Wow, like that, I haven't felt that in a long time. Okay, but let's see what happens. Let's see if he is consistent. Let's see if he follows through.
Yes.
Let's see if he keeps asking me out. Let's see. It's hooking up your feelings of attraction and chemistry with a man's masculine action towards you. If you can do that, then you've really got something. I've always say, then you don't need me anymore. Like that's all you need right there, right? And you can do that. I mean, if I can do that, anybody can. And I see women doing it every day, right? So,
awesome.
So yeah, you can actually change it. But it is, I think, about watching a guy's actions and making sure he's consistent and not just basing it on this instant chemistry, because it can be hooked up with the wrong kind of man, as we've certainly seen, right?
Yeah, totally. Well, yeah, I mean, said differently, chemistry isn't compatibility.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Oh my
so
gosh,
it's like that initial animal chemistry, great, enjoy it. Just realize that's a very different thing than, are we actually compatible longer term? Just like the person that you might be able to go for a drink with and just have fun and enjoy, that doesn't necessarily mean you want to build a life with them, right? Or that you're compatible in all these other ways. So I think often if you just get the download, you know, chemistry isn't compatibility. Breadcrumbs are never going to make a full loaf. If a guy is breadcrumbing you, is unavailable, or is ghosting you, he is just not your guy. Even if you took nothing from this video, but that, it's like that would already set you probably in a different perspective and trajectory.
I love that. I think that's probably just a great thing to end on. I'd love to hear any last words of wisdom you have. In my experience, you can build chemistry with the right kind of guy. You can build deep attraction, lasting attraction with the right kind of guy who's reliable and dependable and consistent. My clients who have this pattern going on that end up with a guy who's like a great guy, they all say the same thing. They all say, you know, I am so much more attracted to him than I was any of those other unavailable men, right? But at first, I didn't really know how great he was, right? At first, I thought, yeah, he's a decent guy. I feel good around him. Okay. And then he won her over kind of slowly. And now they're so attracted to us. Certainly how it happened for me, way more attracted than any of the guys who were not doing the job. But they have to trust that's going to happen with the right one. And it's a great thing, because if a guy is kind of winning her over slowly, they don't put that man on a pedestal. They don't chase after him and do all those things that push him away. It just works so easily. So this was phenomenal. I would love to do more videos on this topic. I know there's so many women who this can help. I certainly, you know, see them every day here in my community. Is there anything else you want to say before we close out?
Just, you know, permission to not be hard on yourself, right? So if you've had a pattern of unavailability, now is your time to learn something different. It doesn't matter if that pattern's been going on for 25 or 35 years. There's always the opportunity to bring yourself into more awareness. You don't become more aware by letting your inner critic through the back door, you know? So what's happened. And now you get an opportunity to do something else. And this lesson can probably be learned quite quickly if you really turn towards it and kind of make this important. And I'll just leave you with this, you know, the right guy doesn't become the wrong guy because you took it slow, right? So slow it down, and that's your best chance to really see, who is this guy? What is this meant to be? What am I being called to? What is my guidance? So if you feel like you've always got to speed it up or prematurely get into a relationship, or if I don't say the right thing or do the right thing, he's not going to be attracted to me, that's not your guy. Right? The right guy is not going to be not attracted to you because we took it a little slow or you said something bizarre on the second date. It's like, no, there's something bigger and deeper that's happening that you can actually, you know, relax into a little bit. So I wish you well with it, and I look forward to hearing how you go.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Something I always say is this kind of applies to when you try and speed it up, you actually slow yourself down really in any area of your life, because urgency and good timing, things unfolding in perfect timing they're two very different wavelengths.
I don't know if it's just a British saying or if you have it in America as well, you know, less haste, more speed.
Oh, no.
That's the same thing. Yeah. Less hurriedness is actually faster.
Wow, I've never heard that before. You said so many things in this video that could be like memes or like quotes on t-shirts or something. Like, I cannot wait to watch this myself. This is phenomenal.
I look forward to launching a t-shirt business. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And we definitely, for everyone watching, we want to invite you to Jack's free webinar, right? 3 keys to relationship ready, how successful women find and keep a high quality man. I hope I said that correctly.
You did it great. You remembered it better than me. Yeah. 3 keys to being relationship ready. It's completely free. I imagine you'll just put it as the first link right beneath this video. It's been getting really good reviews. We take you through 3 keys. It's with my teaching partner, Clayton Olson, that some of you will know. And we've just had really good feedback on it. I think it will be some of the best investment of 90 minutes of your time. One of the things we talk about is unconscious roles, like 2 unconscious archetypes that most women fall into unless they've done the work to distinguish them. And so if you find yourself either being over there with other guys or kind of overly independent, we've got a little bit of a cure for that. So click the link and find a time that works for you in your time zone, and we'll enjoy having you on the webinar with us.
Amazing. Yes. Wow. This was so informative. I have, like, our last video we just recorded, I have no idea how long it is because I'm just like lost in what you were saying. Like, this was amazing. I can't wait to go and watch everything. Yeah. Everything you shared was just total gold. For everyone watching, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, leave us a comment. Let us know your experiences with this down below in the comment section. Feel free to share this video with anyone who you feel might benefit from it. We all know someone who is stuck on a guy who is just not doing the job job. And it's part of my mission to just help women who are in this situation, because I've been there myself. I know how painful and frustrating and heartbreaking it can be. And it doesn't have to be that way. So yeah, go check out Jack's webinar. I cannot recommend it enough. You get so much great feedback on that every day, literally. So yeah, please go check that out. And Jack, thank you so much again. This was so much fun. I want to do more videos.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to coming back on soon. I really enjoyed our time together. So thanks again for having me.